In this tutorial we're going to be looking at footstep sounds. So we're back in our warehouse, and as I walk along on this stone you can hear we've got a particular set of footsteps being played. Then there's a bunch of materials over here, and they're not really playing what's appropriate, they're just playing a kind of default footstep sound. So if we come into our editor we can actually see what's going on. The sounds of the footsteps are determined by the materials that your player character is walking on. So if I select this material and I say find in content browser, we can see that it's this one, LT floors _ BSP master, and we're just going to double click on it and open up the material editor. Now the material, this stone material, actually refers to a physical material, and it's this physical material that determines the footstep sounds that are chosen. So in this case it's attached to one called stone, and so we get a sound cue that's appropriate to that surface. If we look at one of our materials, we find that in the content browser, this wooden one, and we double click, we can see that that hasn't actually got a physical material attached to it at the moment, and so it's just going back to the default footstep sound. So what we want to do is we'll keep that open and we'll go back here and we'll find some of these physical materials and see if we can't add, if I spell it correctly, it might help. Right, so these ones starting with PM are the UDK ones, so we can walk on glass, on metal, foliage, etc. And down the bottom here we've got a physical material of wood. So if we attach that to our material and then we make sure that that is applied, when we go and walk on that material now, I'm just going to save that package. When we go and walk on that material, it's going to call the physical material called wood, and in theory, very nice, it's going to play us the wooden footsteps sound cue. Okay, now often it will be the artists, as they put the materials in, they might actually tag it by particular surface types, and then those tags are used to call the sound cues. But we might want to actually add our own physical materials and our own sounds, so the artist has come up with a different material type. So we're going to want to know how to actually make our own physical materials as well, which is easily done. We are in a package and we right click and we say new physical material. I'm just going to call it test 01, and that's already been used, so okay, very unimaginative, I'm going to call it test 02. Right, this looks like what we just do is play our sound cues to this, and if we've got an impact sound, players walking on it, it will play that sound cue, or if we're sliding against that material, it will play the one that we enter here. Unfortunately this doesn't work, and we actually need to go and script it. So we're going to add a new physical material property, and we're going to give it a name. I'm going to call it the same thing, test 02, and then we're going to save that physical material package. So now we have a physical material called test 02, and we want, whenever players walking on a material that references this physical material, to call a particular set of sounds which are going to come from a sound cue. So let's just find a sound cue that is going to make it pretty obvious when we're walking on it. Let's try. Okay, I think we'll know if it's working. I'm going to copy the full name of that sound cue to the clipboard, because what I'm going to need to do now is to go into the scripts of the player and make sure that that physical material is referencing that sound cue. So I think that is what we need to do for now. We can't edit and update the scripts while the editor's running, so I've closed that down. Then I'm going to go to the UDK folder, development, subfolder, source, UTK, UT game, classes, and here's where our scripts are. Now we've actually altered one of the script files in UDK when you install our tutorial level so that we're referring to our GAT pawn sound group rather than the normal one, so we can play around with it. Double click that. They're just text files, as we've seen already, and you can see here we've got an array of footstep sounds, and each time we identify a material type, so this is the physical materials, and then we say, right, if you are walking on that, then play this sound cue. So all we need to do is, I'm just going to duplicate that last line. I'm going to update the array because we've got an additional thing. I'm going to change that to our new physical material that we've just made, which we called test2, and then there's the reference to my sound cue. So I'll take that and I will replace the existing one. So when the player steps on a material, that refers to a physical material called test02. It will now play that sound cue. So we'll save that, and then we need to compile the scripts. So I'm going to open up UT front end. This will probably look a little bit different in a more recent version, but it's basically the same button saying make scripts or compile scripts. And what we're hoping for is a nice little green thing at the bottom saying succeeded. If it doesn't succeed, don't just try again, but go back to the script and check that you haven't spelt something wrong, or there's a comma where there shouldn't be. It's normally tiny little things like that that stop it compiling properly. So we're back in our editor and we're going to test that out. So we need to find a material and then assign our new physical material to it and then go walk on it, and all things being equal, it will work. So empty warehouse, let's pick this material here. Well, let's pick this one because it's kind of metal looking. We'll find that in the content browser, and we'll open it up in the material editor. We can see at the moment it's got no physical material attached, but we just made one, and we called it test_02, and there it is. So using the green arrow, we're going to add that to that material and apply it, and then we go into the game and we cross everything that we have available to cross. Okay, so the moment of truth, that's wooden because we attached a wooden physical material. That's got nothing attached, so it's going to the default material, and there we go. That material is now referencing the physical material called test02, and in the script we've said when you are called test02, then you should play the sound cue that we've attached to that. So there we have it, footsteps.